Corporations. The grandest society of merchants in the universe. Self-applied description of the East India Company, 1600 to 1708. Corporations. Introduction. During the centuries in which humanity was confined to a single planet, corporations were naturally limited in size and influence, like fish in a bowl. With access to a finite quantity of natural resources and a relatively small arena in which to compete, corporations could not achieve their full theoretical potential. But with the advent of interstellar travel, the fishbowl became an ocean. Corporations could access and exploit entire planets for their mineral resources, and an expanding population, eagerly colonizing system after system, meant a growing customer base. To the governments of the time, the potential for corporate growth was both thrilling and terrifying. Commercial prosperity meant increased tax revenue and higher employment figures, but also raised the worrying prospect of security fleets that could rival the official militaries. It seemed inevitable that the largest corporations would, in time, become the equivalent of nation-states in their own right. With the old restrictions gone, there was simply nothing to stop them. Today, this vision has been partly fulfilled, with several corporations owning entire systems. For many corporate employees, the age-old distinction between a home and a workplace has vanished. Workers on corporate-owned ships, refineries, and outposts can expect to spend their entire lives in the embrace of the company. Despite their immense wealth and power, the corporations have thus far been content to operate within and remain subject to the jurisdictions of the Alliance, Empire, and Federation, rather than mount a serious challenge to any of them. Commentators point to two reasons for this. Firstly, corporations thrive by excelling in their chosen fields, and assuming the onerous responsibilities of a government would be a wasteful distraction from the corporate mission. Secondly, given that the corporations already hold much of the real power, especially in the Federation, there is nothing to be gained by abolishing the convenient veneer of the state. Better to operate below the surface, make a show of compliance, and trust in the power of money to smooth the way forward. Corporations. The Achilles Corporation. Optimize, iterate, refine. Achilles is the market leader in computer technology and is particularly noted for developing the reliable, efficient navigation computers used by most starships. The fear of a hyperspace misjump following a computer malfunction, a nightmare scenario that Achilles capitalized on in its advertising, helped to cultivate strong brand loyalty in the company's early days. Achilles is also a pioneer in the field of robotics, meaning it has long been hampered by the interstellar ban on the development of self-aware artificial intelligence. In the late 3200s, rumors surfaced that the corporation was attempting to circumvent these restrictions by placing organically grown brains in robotic bodies. No evidence of any such activity has come to light, and Achilles board members have not deigned to dignify the rumors with a response. There has also been speculation that the company's leaders are extensively cybernetically enhanced, given their history of uncompromising takeovers and corporate machinations. Even their open business operations are characterized by ruthless efficiency, while their private dealings are rumored to involve everything from the blackmail of rival executives to assassination. Achilles' official line is that these rumors are sheer fantasy and a predictable, envious response to success. Nonetheless, the rumors persist, and Achilles' reputation is now so daunting that smaller corporations will roll over at the first sign of a takeover bid, rather than attempt to negotiate for better terms. Nobody wants to become the subject of a career-ending rumor. Bank of Zeons. Founded on trust. Established by the Savitz family in 2682, the Bank of Zayons is currently the largest commercial bank in human space. Headquartered on industry in the Zayons system, the bank provides key financial services from individual accounts to vast corporate and government budgets. Though generally perceived as fair, the bank's market dominance makes it a frequent target of criticism, which regularly cites a lack of transparency and the long-standing policy of neutrality on clients. Bank representatives assert the organization is entirely ethical, but critics cite instances of dubious conduct as evidence to the contrary. Many governments or corporate regimes over the centuries that were later deemed corrupt or malign have been revealed as Bank of Zayons members. In May 2905, Bank Vice President Silas Hall was implicated in a fraud ring that siphoned 115 billion credits from the inhabitants of the Tion-Isla system over a 2-year period. Once the scandal became public knowledge, industry regulators called for Hall's arrest and a thorough investigation of bank operations. The investigation commenced in June 2905, but despite a thorough examination of transaction histories, there was no trace of Silas Hall as a Bank of Zayons employee. When regulators searched for any information on the man himself or any family, it seemed Hall's entire existence, from birth certificate to biometric records, was fictitious. Inexplicably, accounts belonging to the affected account holders appeared normal, with no evidence of the illicit withdrawals that prompted the investigation. When asked for an explanation, the bank's executive board stated, "Our organization has a zero-tolerance policy towards the misuse of its resources." Lack of evidence forced regulators to terminate their investigation, but rumors circulated of an executive-level cabal with power to make troublesome employees disappear. Supporters claimed the Hall incident was a failed smear campaign against the bank. In the centuries since, the bank has rarely made the news. When it does, such as during the 3305 Kincaid scandal, in which funds were routed by a bank director to a shadow election campaign, swift action ensures minimal threat to the bank and its clients. Brewer Corporation. Starports safer than the surface. Best known for the iconic Coriolis, the Brewer Corporation has been synonymous with starports since 2752. The first Coriolis, designed by Timothy Brewer to elevate the standard of off-world living, took nearly 4 years and 1 billion credits to complete. Though crude and angular to look at, it was relatively simple to assemble in space, with heavy components that could be manufactured locally from low-grade materials. It boasted several innovative features: a self-regulating biome, living facilities comparable to those of planet-side outposts, first-rate medical services, and an innovative cylindrical docking system. By 3200, Brewer was the galaxy's primary starport manufacturer. After decades of rigorous testing, Brewer debuted its second design, the Orbis. Envisaged as an advanced, lightweight counterpart to the Coriolis, the Orbis's construction was less dependent on local metallic resources. The design retained the docking cylinder while featuring additional, full-gravity areas. While the Orbis proved popular in wealthier systems, questions were raised over the starport's price. Brewer was unmoved, however, asserting that the company's high safety standards and extensive testing process made their starports well worth the cost. This did not stop several competitors emerging in the wake of the Orbis's release, claiming they could build Brewer-quality stations at a fraction of the cost. The Merrick Group was one such challenger, an industry newcomer with a background in planetary infrastructure. Launching the Nostrum, an industrial station sold as a low-cost alternative to the Orbis, President Caleb Ferrin bragged about the starport's technical specifications, claiming it would eliminate the need for exorbitantly priced installations. Ferrin's assertions were definitively answered in 3255, when a catastrophic structural failure in the main ring of a Nostrum starport in the Tau Ceti system killed over 100,000 people. Investigating the tragedy, industry officials attributed the incident to a lack of adequate safety planning and repeated failures to correct a fatigue fracture. Following a very public inquiry in which huge amounts of footage of the disaster was made available to the public, outrage over Merritt's negligence bolstered Brewer's reputation. Brewer called the incident a tragic loss of life that could have been avoided with a better regard for safety. The Merrick Group closed its starport division in 3257, leaving Brewer as the sole name in large orbital infrastructure. Its prowess has not since been challenged. Corporations. Kane Massey. Because an honest day's work never goes out of fashion. Kane Massey stands as an example of the power of rebranding. During the fiercely competitive era that followed the first migration from Earth, the company's original incarnation, Howlett, Kane and Calvert, rapidly established itself as a profitable mining concern. Through a combination of nepotism and bribery, HC&C secured a federal guarantee of mining rights across several systems, with the caveat that failure to exploit the resources within a set time frame would result in forfeiture. In order to set up their mining operations as quickly as possible, HC&C cut corners on safety, skimped on equipment quality, and made exorbitant promises to potential employees, promises that were later defaulted on. Workplace accidents, which were frequent, were hushed up. By the time these problems came to light, HC&C was a household name, and the fallout was severe. Token attempts at recompense were made, but the company's public image was badly tarnished. A merger with struggling but respected logistics firm Massey Haulage gave HC&C an opportunity to reinvent itself as the local mining company. The rebranded corporation, Kane Massey, presented itself as a salt-of-the-earth, blue-collar operation whose hard-working employees were treated with dignity. In an uncertain universe, so the advertisements ran, Kane Massey would always be there for you. The campaign was a huge success. Today, Kane Massey is now widely perceived as an old-fashioned company that both understands and sticks up for the working man and woman. But despite this wholesome image, and although safety standards have improved, the company is as acquisitive and concerned with expansion as ever. Corporations. Core dynamics. Unmatched interstellar supremacy. Core Dynamics is a giant conglomerate, best known as one of the galaxy's premier manufacturers of weapon and surveillance systems and starships, with a particular focus on combat vessels. Its product line ranges from the diminutive Eagle to the gargantuan Farragut-class battlecruiser, and also includes the most popular skimmer in the galaxy, the S4 Sentry. The company is known for its occasional discount events, offering reduced-cost ships either in celebration of a new design or as incentives for participation in a community endeavor. Core Dynamics has a long-standing supply agreement with the Federation and is responsible for the Federal Assault Ship, Corvette, Dropship, and Gunship. As part of this relationship, the company benefits from privileged access to federal black box data reserves, which it uses in its research and development branch. In the ongoing quest for more robust and effective ship designs, there is no substitute for data gleaned from genuine combat encounters. Corporations. Falcon de Lacy. Bridging the stars for half a millennium. Falcon Manspace, originally a small military supply company, experienced an overnight reversal of fortune when it released the Viper fighter, which proved popular with governments and private citizens alike. Indeed, demand was so high that Falcon Manspace had to farm out Viper production to other companies under license. With wealth came innovation and a range of new designs. Like the Viper, these new ships were named after dangerous snakes. The Cobra marked the company's entry into the trader market, while the lightweight, versatile Sidewinder was designed principally as a reconnaissance craft. As the company's wealth grew, it began to absorb many of the companies to which it had previously granted manufacturing contracts. In almost all cases, the target company's close working relationship with Falcon Manspace made such acquisitions frictionless and mutually beneficial. In 2982, the corporation merged with one of the largest such manufacturers, de Lacy Shipworks, becoming Falcon de Lacy. The company pioneered the now standard modular system of ship design that allows pilots to swap out components with ease. Significantly, the company made the schematics for the modular system freely available to its manufacturing rivals, broadening the choice of compatible modules available to pilots, and thus making the Falcon de Lacy marks more popular. Without this philosophy of component compatibility, spacecraft maintenance might have become a nightmarish scenario in which being unable to get the proper parts could leave a broken-down ship stranded in dry dock for weeks, or worse, subject to botched repair attempts. Today, Falcon de Lacy stands out as one of the most enduring, widespread, and consistently admired corporations in colonized space. Public regard for the company is so high that the Alliance, Empire, and Federation have all made attempts to secure exclusivity to Falcon de Lacy starships. Thus far, their efforts have been unsuccessful. Corporations. Gutermeyer. Effortless elegance. Ship manufacturer Gutermeyer enjoys a supply agreement with the Empire, similar to that between Core Dynamics and the Federation. Gutermeyer is a far younger company, however, and was in fact created by the Empire. The company's ships are considered to embody imperial opulence and are instantly recognizable for their sleek contours and distinctive silhouettes. Imperial Gutermeyer was chartered by Emperor Galen Trascan de Waal in 3000 as part of a formal celebration of the millennium, in line with the Emperor's vision of an imperial renaissance in art, design, and architecture. The company's remit, overseen by shipwrights Jordan Blakestow and sculptor Amita Gutermeyer, was to produce a line of ships that will combine functional excellence with a distinct visual style. These would be offered for a limited period to select members of imperial noble houses as a mark of the emperor's favor. Amita Gutermeyer's involvement was immediately apparent, her reputation having been established through well-regarded public artworks incorporating graceful, contoured forms. This helped to drive public demand for the ships, which became sought-after status symbols. Demand was so high that owners were forced to hire squadrons of mercenary escorts to prevent hijack. The Emperor promptly ordered Imperial Gutermeyer to go into full-time production and to make part of its range available for general purchase. From its inception, Gutermeyer has employed a coterie of accomplished imperial artisans to ensure that their ships continue to reflect Amita Gutermeyer's aesthetic principles. When, in 3006, Amita Gutermeyer died in unexplained circumstances, she was interred in the Gutermeyer family crypt on Achenar 6b. Herculean machines. Function first. Founded in 3299 by Maddox Hurd, Herculean Machines stands as testament to the power of a good family name. Son of haulage magnate Rhesus Hurd, Hurd Jr. founded Herculean Machines as a means of escaping conscription into the family business. Tapping the family trust for capital, Hurd hired graduates from the galaxy's top engineering programs, with promise of being more than just a megacorp drone. Within 3 months of founding, Herculean had already registered patents in all 3 superpower jurisdictions. Using his family's contacts to secure materials at low prices, Hurd kept production costs down and the focus of his product simple. Whereas competitors spent billions on glossy design, Herculean was concerned almost exclusively with performance. Rapid growth followed, with a fresh round of funding allowing Herculean to open 2 more development facilities. Meanwhile, Maddox Hurd was earning a reputation as a bellicose businessman, known for browbeating opponents and driving employees to breaking point. Reports began circulating of severely overworked engineers, with news outlets publishing accounts from anonymous whistleblowers. Hurd dismissed the reports as anti-Herculean propaganda, but a short time later, a disgruntled employee leaked prototype sketches detailing Herculean's upcoming device, the Duradrive. The leak was met with scathing criticism from Scorpio Devoro, CEO of rival company Supratech. Devoro decried the Durodrive as a regressive analog. Hurd struck back, describing Devoro as a pompous fool with impractical ideas. With that exchange, the dam was broken, both CEOs engaging in increasingly vitriolic public dialogue until the 3304 Rackham Ultratech Expo, when their companies debuted new devices. Herculean won the bout, however, when the Durodrive proved more popular with consumers, its inelegant design notwithstanding. Herculean's success was compounded when the Federal Navy placed a wholesale order for the Durodrive, making the device standard issue for its soldiers. The revenue generated from the contract has given the corporation a near unassailable position in the tech company landscape. Kinematic armaments. Conquer all. Defense industry veteran Kinematic Armaments is the galaxy's largest producer of ballistic weaponry. Established in 3240 by the Dunst family, Kinematic long ago outgrew its home in the Tau 1 Eridani system, and today has fabrication plants in dozens of systems. While Kinematic's efficiency is lauded, the company's business model is frequently criticized as unethical. To maximize output and minimize production costs, Kinematic operates pop-up factories in impoverished systems, which are decried by humanitarian organizations as little more than sweatshops. Kinematic's arrival in these systems frequently portends a monopoly of the local economy. First, the corporation purchases vast tracts of real estate to accommodate development. Then, once a production base has been established, the bulk of the local workforce is lured into employment with above-average wages, forcing surrounding companies to shutter. Understandably, this practice is the source of considerable controversy. Proponents assert that it revitalizes stagnant systems, while detractors condemn Kinematic's tendency to close facilities without warning as the unscrupulous conduct of a company consumed by greed. When CEO Catalina Dunst was challenged for closing Kinematic's third factory in 2 months, she made the following statement: "Kinematic stands for strength. If a system's economy crumbles after our departure, it means it wasn't strong enough to support us long term. The weapons we create arm the security forces that protect you. Remember that." Corporations. Lakon Spaceways. Hard-working ships for hard-working people. Lakon Spaceways is a starship manufacturer specializing in sturdy vessels for cargo haulage and deep space exploration. They have a longer pedigree than most other ship manufacturers, their first dedicated transport vessel having been built on Earth in the 26th century. The company's early models were characterized by the fact that they could be easily repaired away from port, a quality that has been retained to this day, despite the prevalence of affordable repair services. In 3303, Lakon entered into partnership with the Alliance to produce a range of military ships in response to the emerging Thargoid threat. As of 3304, this partnership has produced the Type 10 Defender, the Alliance Chieftain, the Alliance Crusader, and the Alliance Challenger. Lakon vessels tend to garner both praise and derision for their unpretentious, functional design, which is informed more by practical concerns than aesthetic considerations. Those who champion the chunky look of Lakon craft typically say that they prefer their ships to look like ships, not abstract sculptures. Manticore. Finish the fight. Established in 2990, Manticore was for many years associated solely with ship-based technology, making a name for itself as a manufacturer of cannons, missiles, and limpets. In 3303, the company widened its remit to encompass personal defense. When asked about the change, company director Carissa Newman cited a clear gap in the market for quality plasma and laser weaponry as the motivator. The move attracted criticism from competitors Takada and Kinematic Armaments, who suggested that Manticore was rushing to enter a market it did not fully understand. Newman responded by poaching superstar designer Ellen New from Kinematic Armaments. The development led to a jump in Manticore share prices, as commentators speculated about the impact that Yu, whose work at Kinematic produced some of the corporation's fiercest weaponry, would have on Manticore. Manticore soon released a lineup of personal weaponry characterized by punchy handling and substantial damage output. Critics hailed the release as the future of plasma weaponry, giving both investors and consumers ample hope for the company's future. Since then, Manticore has cemented its presence in the personal weapon market and acquired a reputation for shrewd decision-making. The recent successful launch of the company's first combat suit design has demonstrated its potential for further growth. Manticore may choose to present itself as guided by little more than instinct and good fortune, but in reality it is as tactical and, when necessary, as ruthless as any of its rivals. Corporations. Mistopoulos Mining. 300 years of reliability. In 2951, an imperial senator named Guillaume Mistopoulos helped an imperial group wrest control of a key set of mining rights from a federally backed partnership. Mistopoulos later took direct control of the mining operations, and under his and his daughter Nia's guidance, the company rapidly expanded. The Mistopoulos family was already held in great esteem for its patronage of the arts and loyalty to the empire, and many imperials were more than happy to do business with them. Accordingly, it was within the empire that Mistopoulos gained the most ground, though the company also established operations in several independent systems. Much like the empire itself, Mistopoulos has been under the control of a single dynasty for centuries. Rather than adopt conventional marketing strategy, it has opted to focus its corporate spotlight on the individuals in charge, thus capitalizing on the imperial cultural regard for people of taste and status. The Mistopoulos family are trained from birth to play the part of charismatic aristocrats to the full, acting as ambassadors not only for the company, but for the empire. In particular, they seek to demonstrate the viability and humanity of the imperial way of life as a direct ideological challenge to the Federation. The company's current head, Gabriela Mistopoulos, has gone out of her way to ensure that any slaves working for the company are exceptionally well treated. She also earned plaudits for a prisoner reform program that offered imperial prisoners at Jennings Hollow the chance to become corporate slaves, and to earn a generous performance-related bonus. But despite the popularity of this gambit, Federal and Alliance citizens were quick to point out that a slave is still a slave, regardless of the generosity of the owner. Remlock. Above all, survive. Remlock is the galaxy's largest manufacturer of spacesuits. Led by CEO Sebastian Qua, it is noted for its employee-centric ethos, which offers workers generous benefits and competitive wages. Perhaps unsurprisingly, given the company's commitment to fair treatment, it is vocally opposed to slavery. Qua, as the descendant of an enslaved family, has repeatedly clashed with pro-slavery figureheads, including Imperial Senator Zemina Torval. In 3300, Qua lambasted Torval for using excessive force to suppress a slave rebellion in the Sorbago system. Describing her actions as a cruel response to people seizing their rightful freedom, Qua came under fire from Torval's allies, with some threatening to boycott the company until an apology was issued. Remlock's public relations department issued a response, admitting that Qua's statement was intense, while maintaining the company's fundamental position. More recently, the company has partnered with abolition charity Unchain, pledging a portion of its profits to the organization's cause. Predictably, the move has attracted a certain amount of criticism, but has done little to undermine Remlock's market position. Corporations. Saud Kruger. The finest for the best. To independent pilots, Saud-Kruger is best known for luxurious passenger liners such as the Beluga, Dolphin and Orca, although the company also runs a tourism branch under the Astrogator brand. Saud-Kruger started life as a yacht manufacturer in Bedaho, although the narrowness of the market curtailed the company's growth. When company director Stanislav Kruger purchased the struggling Astrogator touring company in 3270, he gave Saud-Kruger a foothold in multiple star systems. Kruger then refurbished the Astrogator fleet and revamped the somewhat stale tour itinerary to give it a more adventurous, thrill-seeking flavor, which proved highly successful. Goldskin leather, sourced exclusively from the planet home in the Bedaho system, has been used in the interiors of Saud-Kruger ships for years and is part of the company's distinctive aesthetic. Saud-Kruger has the exclusive right to produce real goldskin, which comes embedded with coded nanoparticles that act as guarantors of authenticity. Saud-Kruger also competes in the field of interstellar mapping and deep space exploration, and likes to emphasize the danger and glamour of exploring. The company's critics claim this approach risks transforming the vitally important field of space exploration into a pastime for the idle rich, thus alienating the many freelancers on whose hard work the discipline depends. Corporations. The Sirius Corporation. Powering the galaxy. Of all the mega corporations to dominate civilized space, none compare to the wealth and influence of the Sirius Corporation. The rise of the Sirius Corporation began in 2339, when the organization launched a corporate colonization mission, the first of its kind, to the Sirius system. From there, the corporation went on to become the lead supplier of fuel and technologies to both the Empire and the Federation, catapulting it to powerhouse status. The corporation's promise not to favor either side in the event of conflict helped to cement its position. As the corporation grew, fuel supply and drive manufacture remained its core business, although judicious expansion into other markets supported its expansion. But the corporation's ascendance has not been without complication. In 3251, it introduced a technologically revolutionary passenger liner called the Antares, which it hoped would usher in a new age in interplanetary travel. Unfortunately, however, the ship disappeared during its maiden voyage. It was speculated that a failure in the ship's internal containment systems had destroyed the vessel, but it was not until 3302 that wreckage from the ship was recovered, and this hypothesis proved correct. The Antares incident cast a long shadow, stalling the Sirius Corporation's plans to develop further superfast liners. But 3278 saw a reversal of fortune with the introduction of a new, faster drive system. The success of this new system more than made up for the losses that followed the Antares incident, propelling the organization to new heights. Today, the corporation has multiple divisions, many of them giant conglomerates themselves. But its primary focus remains the manufacture of fusion reactors, hyperdrives, and hyperdrive fuels. This division still operates under the banner of the Sirius Corporation, although technically it is conducted by Sirius Hyperdrives, with the parent corporation acting as a holding company. The company's mining, industrial, and power divisions are probably its largest. Sirius Mining works closely with Sirius Industrial to produce specialist equipment for both planetary and asteroid mining, in addition to industrial smelters and refineries, atmospheric processing units, and waste processing reactors. Sirius Power produces generators ranging from 10 kilowatt devices to 100 gigawatt plants for industrial facilities and atmospheric processors. The Sirius Corporation maintains a large private fleet with which to defend its interests. The majority of its ships are supplied by Guttamaia, although a proportion are manufactured under license in Sirius's own shipyards. The corporation controls dozens of star systems and has even created a governmental subdivision, Sirius Gov, dedicated to managing these systems. Indeed, it has been observed that the people of these systems enjoy better quality of life and greater personal security, courtesy of Sirius's private fleet, than many independent systems. Corporations. The Rockforth Corporation. Living naturally. The Rockforth Corporation was founded in 2673 by the Rockforth family on Thompson's World, an unusually beautiful planet, similar in almost all respects to Earth. Thompson's World began as a federal colony, but by 2748, Rockforth controlled so much of the planet that it was able to claim outright ownership and secede from the Federation. In its early years, the Rockforth Corporation earned significant revenue from tourism and genuine, ground-grown food. The former facilitated by the rise of affordable interstellar travel. Today, it is a powerful interstellar corporation specializing in agriculture and tourism, with hundreds of corporate farms throughout federal space. It has also a reputation for being acquisitive, having bought up many of its client companies, beginning with a friendly takeover of the law firm Smith & Smith, now known as Rockforth Law. In 2730, Rockforth Law established the Rockforth Legal Academy on Thompson's World, now considered one of the best places in the galaxy to study federal law. Rockforth has always been eager to work with governing powers, both federal and independent, and has occasionally loaned out its private fleet to help repel external threats. The company has even sponsored election campaigns, including that of the infamously corrupt federal president, Isaac Gellin, in 2862. Rather than being tarnished by its association with Gellin, however, the company's reputation was enhanced, since it was Rockforth itself that exposed the president's corruption. Supratech. Innovation in everything. Despite its comparative youth, Supratech is one of the galaxy's preeminent technology companies, its rapid ascent having earned it both the admiration and envy of its competitors. Much of this success has been attributed to CEO Scorpio Devorro, who spent the company's first year poaching engineers from competitors, pouring billions into development and plastering advertisements across independent space. Upon release of the Revo, a sleek wearable computing device, Supratech's sales saw a significant spike, cementing it as a serious contender on the tech scene. The company soon faced challenges, however, including stiff competition from rival company Herculean Machines and the loss of its main manufacturing facility. Although Devorro insisted the facility's destruction would not compromise production, dozens of prototypes of the company's next product were lost. This device, the Talk, was envisaged by Devorro as the product that would launch Supratech into the ranks of the truly elite corporations. Ultimately, production targets were met, but the Talk debuted to lukewarm reviews at the 3304 Rackham Ultratech Expo. While sympathetic to the events surrounding the Talk's release, critics cited technical errors exacerbated by rushed development as the reason for the device's subpar performance. The Talk's mediocre sales pushed Supratech into the red, as industry analysts started forecasting bankruptcy. Critics cited the corporation's fall from grace as a cautionary tale against the hubris of next big thing tech, while fans of the brand held their breath as they waited for Devorro's next move. Relief came in 3305, when billionaire Lexi October injected enough capital to revive the ailing company. Famous for reversing the fate of failing startups, October had already rescued several corporations that had gone on to enjoy significant success. Her interest in Supratech heartened fellow investors, allowing the corporation not only to remain in business, but to diversify into other areas of tech. Takada. Harmonious by design. The dynastic corporation Takada started life in 3223 as a haulage corporation. Presided over by Patriarch Hideo Takada, the company gobbled up market share by transporting high-risk shipments at a fraction of competitor prices. Instead of hiring external security as escorts, Takada chose to make a long-term investment by recruiting and training its own. Within 5 years, the company's last major competitor had vacated the area increasingly known as Takada Space. By 3244, the conglomerate had a vice grip on the local economy, with everything from starports to planetary colonies bearing its name. The company's prominence came at a cost, however, with Takada shipments persistently targeted by pirate gangs. Rather than relying on beleaguered system security forces, Takada poured further funds into its private defense team, only to find that mass-market firearms did not meet its needs. Convinced Takada could do better, Hideo's heir, Ronan Takada, tasked engineers with developing concepts for personal laser weapons. He also hired several industry veterans, including former Ross Projectiles designer Edward Lee. The results exceeded even Ronan's lofty expectations. Sensing an opportunity for additional revenue, Ronan Takada quietly began taking weapon orders from local factions, using an abandoned Takada facility for production. When order volume dramatically increased, Ronan was compelled to legitimize his experiment. Assembling an audience of journalists, engineers, and government representatives, Ronan declared it was time to give consumers the same opportunities for personal defense enjoyed by the Takada Corporation. The announcement marked Takada's official shift into the defense sector, with the company shuttering its former operations to focus exclusively on arms production. Although Hideo Takada initially disapproved of the shift, going so far as to call his son reckless, he later acknowledged that the defense market was more profitable for Takada than haulage had ever been. Corporations. Universal Cartographics. Because it's there. Before the frameshift drive was developed, the exploration of space lacked a single coordinating agency. Governments and corporations had in-house exploration programs, but these were driven by the desire for fresh, exploitable territory rather than any humanitarian motive. It was not unknown for these programs to enlist the help of freelance explorers, but as a class, these were seen as erratic and unreliable. The reputation of the freelance explorer was not helped by a rash of bogus data scandals, in which a pilot would present, and be paid for, impressive scan data from hitherto unexplored systems that was later discovered to be counterfeit. The remoteness of the systems meant that the deception was not discovered until much later. Much like the sea captains of old Earth, whose rutters were full of closely guarded secrets, the owners of authentic navigation data were reluctant to share it. Theft of such data was a particularly prevalent concern in the late 2900s, when mistrust between the Empire and the Federation was at its most intense. Officials on both sides would occasionally propose a shared databank as a means of bridging the divide, but mutual suspicion killed the idea before it could be implemented. The creation of the frameshift drive greatly increased the jump capability of even small ships, empowering individuals to become bona fide space explorers without the need for corporate or governmental sponsorship. The stage was set for a corporation to manage, coordinate, and distribute the incoming flood of navigation data. Universal Cartographics filled that niche, arising from the merger of Unified Infotech and Devane Bright Interstellar. Cynthia Sedaris, former head of Unified Infotech, chose the name Universal Cartographics to reflect the company's policy of making its data accessible to anyone who was willing to pay for it. Sophisticated security protocols developed at Unified Infotech ensured that all data sold to Universal Cartographics was sourced through legitimate scanning. This combination of reliability and accessibility made Universal Cartographics an instant success. The company's ethos, which prized discovery for its own sake and championed the advancement of human knowledge, resonated with many independent explorers and continues to do so to this day. Corporations. Recon, an industry built to last. Recon Construction and Mining is one of the oldest interstellar corporations. It was founded over 1,000 years ago, but still bears the name of its founder, Tobias Recon, who was a coal miner on Earth in the days prior to full automation. Raised on stories of horrific mining disasters, Recon ran his extraction business with safety and prudence as top priorities. The corporate motto at the time ran, "Losses can be recouped and equipment can be repaired. Lives are irreplaceable." Generations later, this attitude of diligence over profiteering still ran strong in the company. It made Recon a compelling choice when corporations were looking to exploit the new opportunities presented by early deep space exploration. Extracting resources from asteroids, airless moons, and hazardous planets was an even more dangerous prospect than coal mining, and Recon's expertise did much to calm corporate nerves. Consequently, the company had a presence on almost all of the early federal chartered colony missions. Today, Recon specializes in the extraction of tantalum, a vital component in frameshift drives. The company is firmly established in alliance, federation, and independent territories, while its direct rival, Mastopoulos Mining, dominates in imperial space. Tensions between the two corporations have been high, since Recon accused Mastopoulos of covertly seeding key planets with tiny, promising tantalum deposits, in the expectation that Recon's thoroughgoing approach would prompt a full survey, thus tying up valuable resources. Mastopoulos has not offered an official response to assertions, though at a formal dinner in 3303, Eleanor Mastopoulos made a pointed reference to the etymological link between tantalus and tantalize, adding that it was not illegal to leave gifts on a neighbor's doorstep. Corporations. Worldcraft. Optimizing recreation. Based in the Epsilon Eridani system, Worldcraft has been the Federation's favorite tourism company for more than 300 years. The company began life as the Cisco Corporation, with tourist resources throughout human-occupied space. In the early part of the 33rd century, it dramatically increased the scope of its operation and began terraforming planets to create dedicated resort worlds, an operation facilitated through the use of Free World Ventures' Worldcraft atmospheric processing units. Eager to exclude competitors from the market, Cisco bought Free World Ventures in 3260 via a leveraged buyout, doubling the size of the corporation overnight. At the time, Cisco was associated with the seedier end of the holiday market, which had prevented the company from successfully entering imperial space. Capitalizing on the acquisition of Free World Ventures and the respect afforded to the Worldcraft brand, the company shrewdly rebranded itself Worldcraft with a capital C, in the hope of establishing a presence in imperial space. Worldcraft offers experiences ranging from excursions into unspoilt natural environments where families can admire dazzling views from the safety of a rented luxury vessel to painstakingly detailed reconstructions of periods of Earth history, such as the Victorian London theme park and the Swords and Swigging medieval reenactment experience.